So for you guys that are seeing this for the first time, it's been around on YouTube for about a week now. There's been some other reviews. I have, again, like taken my time with this one. I've not rushed to be the first person out the day I got it. So I have been flying it, and I've been flying it in like several different locations because it's the holidays. And that's what really makes these so much fun, is because you can kind of bring it with you on a trip. It's small, it's quiet, and it's not something that's going to cause people worrying about the mysterious drones in New Jersey and New York to come after you when you're flying something like this. So if you're a beginner or somebody just getting into FPV, or even if you're a seasoned FPV racer, this one is it's going to be a lot of fun. So super lightweight design. It has a new materials apparently from Sub250 on this frame that makes it pretty kind of like memory type of a tiny whoop frame. It also has plug and play motors on the bottom, and they are kind of a step down from the typical 08, 02 type motors. These are 07 series motors. I'm also flying a Sub250 300 milliamp pack on the bottom of it, and we should get around 3 minutes flight time. So if you kind of rewind, say 5 years ago with these little tiny whoops, we were getting like 1.5 minute on a 300 milliamp. And since we have motored down a little bit, we're getting a little more efficiency out of this particular design. So it's also an STM32 F411 AIO flight controller on here with an ELRS SPI built-in receiver. Kind of a lot to say, a lot to talk about, but I think we should cut the talking short right now, and let's go ahead and do some flying. I'll talk about how it flies and how it performs on this kind of stock Sub250 battery, and then we'll get back to the bench. We'll show you this on a little closer up on the bench. And as always, I'll give you my true and honest opinion on this little Nimble 6.5. 3 different colors on this one. Pretty cool. Reminds me of the IMAX from the early 2000s. Here we go. All right, so this is Justin from the future. So remember that crash during the flight test? Um, that was interesting because I got the quad back from the neighbor's yard. Kids climbed the fence, and a little bit of scratches on the
the front of the camera lens. And then check this out. No, I broke the frame. So yeah, and I broke it in two places. So a frontal crash, uh, maybe on some bricks or the walkway or something. But yeah, this frame is definitely not quite as durable as I thought it was. So that's some honesty for this review, and that's how you know we're not a shill on the channel. My God, I show you that guys' stuff all the time. So anyway, guys, uh, yeah, back to the review.
All right, my friends, welcome back from the flight test. So this little Sub 250 Nimble 65 is a 65 millimeter 1S tiny whoop. It comes in three different colors. It comes in like green, purple, and the sort of pink color that I have here. I do like that it seems like a pretty simple design, and I'm going to show you that here in a second. I also kind of like the way that the canopy looks. It has quite a bit of venting up here, but what's kind of cool is it has all this different staging back here. It has very kind of streamlined side connection pieces. There are 3 bolts holding this top plate canopy on. It's pretty standard, and it does have the dipole coming out the back from the VTX, which is built into the flight controller itself. And I was seeing that I could get up to about 250 milliwatt on the VTX. That is an STM32 F411 flight controller, and it is 5 amp ESCs on there. It's the Red Fox A1 5 amp ESCs, so that's plenty for 1S. And speaking of the power system, the 5 amp ESCs are controlling those 0702 motors. And these are sub 250 motors. You can see they're sub 250 branded, as well as 27,000 kV. So they are on the upper end of the kV, but we're still getting a pretty good flight time because typically in the last couple of years we were running 0802s, which I always kind of felt like they were powerful enough, but they shortened our flight times a lot down to like maybe a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes if you had a bigger battery on there. But I feel like this is the sweet spot with the 0702 motors on here. Makes it still just as powerful as we need for even a little bit of freestyle outdoors and a longer flight time and even racing capability. And the connector for this quad is the A30 in the back here going to this flight controller. You can also plug in BT 2.0 batteries in here from Beta FPV, so they're cross compatible between the A30s and the BT 2.0 batteries. And on the bottom of this frame, it's pretty standard. We have a 45-degree offset tilt on the flight controller. You can see that inside Betaflight, and it does have a standard USB port on the bottom, kind of old school USB. It's not a USB-C, which I would like to see. And then we also have those motors are bolted down to this frame with 3 tiny little screws leading over to some plug-and-play motors, which is kind of nice. So if you burn out a motor, you can just unplug this, plug in a new sub 250 motor. As long as it's a 0702, you're good to go. 4 bolts holding this onto the frame, and this is all one piece. Let's just like test out how flexy this is. Yeah, it's likely that you guys are not going to break this frame. If you broke this, I'd be pretty surprised because it is pretty flexible. Look at that. So, and again, I got the ELRS version. Mine is a built-in SPI receiver. So you can put on an external receiver if you want to. There is an extra UART on here, but keep in mind it only comes with 2 UARTs on this flight controller. Out the back, though, we've got a pretty long antenna for the ELRS, and then our dipole sits right here with this little antenna sticking up out of this spot. And, it seems that it has a pretty good clearance from the top, maybe 10 to 15 millimeters off the top of this canopy. On the side, we have these little M2 bolts, which is kind of nice to see that it's adjustable down from like 0 degrees all the way up to like maybe 35 degrees of tilt. So if you're doing some FPV racing, you can crank that way up like that. And if you're racing or kind of just flying as a beginner indoors, I always recommend that you put the camera all the way down like that so it flies slower. And if you're trying to make some gaps indoors, this is the way to do that. And the camera on this quad is the Ant. It's made by Cadex. It's the Cadex Ant. It's a pretty standard micro nano whoop camera, and it has 2 bolts, one on this side and one on the other. And it looks like this canopy offers some decent side-to-side protection right here. A little wide open on the top, so you can get that maximum tilt of about around 35 to 40 degrees. and then back down to level. And we also have 3 bolts holding this canopy on the top of the frame. So 2-part frame, canopy, and prop guards here. And interestingly enough, we have a brand new design propeller on here. This is the 3-blade 31 millimeter prop from HQ. They are considered to be ultralight props, and they have a 1 millimeter shaft. But that's going to be the number and the model number on these. If you're looking for those on the internet, maybe you guys can Google it and drop a link in the comments down below. Maybe help out some of the other guys out there that might be looking for these props when you lose them. So, I mean, some final takeaway with this quad is pretty much, I mean, I'm not like super crazy impressed with it because I have seen a lot of little tiny whoops out there, and I didn't watch the other reviewers' reviews on this, so I have no idea how much they may have been hyping it up or may not have been hyping it up. But I'm happy with it that it performed like I thought it should. And a lot of times lately, we've had quads come through that were just doing well for what they're made for. And at this point, it's almost 2025, so we're not seeing a whole bunch of duds out there. But if this was a dud, I would tell you. I do like the fact that they have 3 separate colors: the pink, green, and the purple. And I think I told them to send me purple, but I swear this is pink. That's pink, right? But aside from that, it was fun to fly indoors, outdoors, and I think as cold and rainy and windy it is outside lately, it's been crazy cold up in Oregon. So this is nice. But I do recommend, again, like grabbing one of these Whoop Store 3s. If you don't have this charger, this will make your life a lot better. Again, like does standard lipos, and it'll do HVs. And a lot of the Whoop batteries lately are HV batteries, meaning if you don't know, it charges up to 4.35 volts. So different than LiPo because that's 4.2 volt and standard. And I've said that a million times on this channel, but we do have a lot of new guys coming in all the time. So if you're new to my channel, welcome, because I'm usually going to do a review and like talk to you like a normal person instead of getting super technical down the rabbit hole, talking about stuff and acronyms that people don't understand. We'll talk about all the basic acronyms on this channel and try to keep it as simple as possible. And you'll catch on pretty quick if you are new. So welcome to the hobby. And yeah, this is a great thing to fly right now because of all the hysteria in New York and New Jersey, around the country. And I was telling some of the neighbors today, this is pretty quiet, and they didn't hear it at all, which is awesome. And this is obviously a toy in everyone in your neighborhood's eyes. It's not some kind of nefarious spy drone or anything like that. It's a little tiny whoop, and it's fun, and that's what this hobby is all about, fun. So we're gonna keep the fun side of the hobby going, and we're gonna be okay, guys. Don't worry too much about all this hype and paranoia surrounding the whole drone thing. With all the drone news that we've done recently, like, it's crazy out there, but we've been here before. We haven't been to this extent of the hype yet, but I'm going to tell you guys what I always told you through all of these different stages of um, almost like new regulations and laws coming out in different areas around the country. I just told you guys, keep flying. Support the hobby by just keep flying and be courteous and be nice to somebody. If they come up to you and they're acting like a total dick, just just be nice and courteous and just say, okay, no problem. I'll stop what I'm doing, and just leave. Go find another spot real quick, and just avoid that person. Like, just get away from that person because that's bad vibes, right? So you want to keep it good vibes only, like my girlfriend says all the time. So uh, good vibes only. Keep that in mind, and you'll be fine. So I hope you enjoyed this review. It's a decent drone. It's $100. You can check it out down in the link below. Yes, I do use the affiliate links, and so does pretty much every other reviewer out there. And if you see a reviewer that has affiliate links, it doesn't mean that they're a shill. It doesn't mean that they're just trying to get your money. It means that we're dedicated to this hobby, and it's the only way. It's the only way that we can keep this going. And the whole time that I've been able to keep this going is because of my friends on the channel and folks that believe in what we do. So thanks for believing in what we do, because 10 years later, I'm still doing it. And I'm not getting rich, but I love it. And yeah, no YouTuber is getting rich off affiliate links. Trust me. So I appreciate you guys' support. I'm Justin Davis, guys. Take care. And I will definitely see you on the next one. I'm going to go fly some more packs.